Commence primary ignition.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Live at Lightspeed podcast. My name is Colin.
And I am Ted, aka Steady.
Yes, from Countdown City Geeks, he is here again, filling in for Brooke. She is sick today, and including Hayden. So we are hanging out. We're chilling. Yeah, it's New Year. Day 2.
Yeah, I think so.
It's been a
Everything
long
is
week.
jumbled up. Yeah, everything is crazy. Let's not ever have Christmas and New Year's Eve on a Thursday again or a
No,
Wednesday. That's just weird having in the middle of the week. Throws everybody
I
off.
I lost complete track of just the outside world in general between those days. And then on top of that, Stranger Things also happened because we had our New Year's Eve party, and then no joke, as soon as midnight hit, my wife ran over to the TV and was waiting for people to leave so that we could watch it. And we stayed up until like 3 a.m. So, but yeah, no. New Year's Eve was fun. We had a big, party here. It like because our garage is a cantina. I got my droid done for the most part, and then I also just got a commission done as well. So this is already a good start to the year. And then I started my 143 like facts of the Mandalorian every single day. I'm going to be posting it. I'm not sure if you saw it, but I'm posting 143 facts about the Mandoverse every single day until the Mandalorian and Grogu like actual movie premiere. So every day I'm posting on Instagram and TikTok. But yeah,
I love it. Can't wait to see all that stuff, man.
Mhm.
That's a lot of work.
It is, and I've got a Disney trip planning of coming up in a week and a half. So I'm recording a bunch in one day, and then I got stuff I'm doing for VCM as well. That I'm going to be doing a bunch tonight for. So yeah, it's go. For people in the live stream, thank you for hopping on and watching. Sorry about it being late. Was kind of scattered all over the place, so just kind of finding things today. But yeah. Ted, how are you? How's your year going?
It's going slow. I've been celebrating by treating every day like a lazy Sunday. So I'm not getting a ton done.
Okay.
But I tell you what, you and I have been talking about this recently. I experienced the finale of Stranger Things
Yeah.
in a theatrical setting, and I do not regret it one bit. I feel like this should be more of a trend going forward for like high profile series and shows, especially ones that are like on this big grand scale. And
Yeah.
numbers are not too shabby. I saw an estimate of about 25 million, and that's just literally like a day's worth of showings. It's like one showing on New Year's Eve, I think, is all they could
Yep.
afford. And then like I saw showings as early as 10 a.m. Yesterday, probably going through
Yeah.
as late as like 10 p.m. at night. So let's say about a full day's worth of showings and some change, 25 mil. Not bad for a single day.
No. And I think you know Star Wars has technically already done this because they actually did this with Ahsoka. It was the main episode of where we see the flashbacks with like from the Clone Wars with like Anakin and stuff. They actually had a screening of that in theaters, but I don't think they charge anyone. I think you like I think it was like a free screening. I think you just had to like go online and apply for it. But yeah, no, that was super cool. And I've seen a couple of different episodes in the theater, and it's a whole different experience, watching it at home where it's cozy, but seeing it in a theater with fans is just, just always cool. Uh, I will always remember when we watched the first two episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi at Star Wars Celebration in 2020, 2022, and it was super cool to watch it with a big crowd like that. So I hope going forward that they do stuff not with just Star Wars, but if they do it with different Marvel shows that they do, if they do something with the boys, if they do um, something with Ring of Power, I think that would be really cool going forward. So hopefully we get that chance. But yeah,
And then I was thinking of Alien Earth. We saw it on the literally the biggest screen anywhere, San Diego Comic-Con. We saw the first
yeah,
episode of Alien Earth,
yeah,
and I saw the premiere, the pilot episode, like 2 more times, one more time in a theater, and
okay,
still does not compare to that San Diego Comic-Con experience. I'm telling you, the largest, most booming sound system you'll
yeah,
ever find. That I will put my money on that. There's not an IMAX screen that I've seen or been to or heard of that like even comes close to that entire audio system they have in that Hall H venue. I mean, you felt everything that happened in that episode. And so yeah,
yeah,
watching TV in the comfort of your home on your big screen or whatever, if you got a 70-inch, it doesn't matter what you got, but like there's something just so completely different on a whole nother level and a whole nother scale when you're able to witness these shows almost how they're meant to be seen on the big screen, because some of these shows have bigger budgets than movies. Stranger Things, the finale took a year to film. No other
yeah,
movie takes a year to film. Like nothing like that happens. Even the biggest blockbusters, come close to that. But yeah, so they put in the biggest production larger than movies, and so some of these shows deserve to be seen on the big screen. I could see this trend really taking off into the future, especially with how people are complaining. I don't believe it as much that the quality of movies has gone down, and that's the reason why box office is hurting to begin with. I don't buy into that whatsoever. um but yeah, you can start putting some of these really popular shows in the theaters, and you might see an uptick in attendance if that's what you really want to do.
yeah. No, I think that's definitely true. And I mean, it's gonna be so interesting to see the Mandalorian and Grogu in the theater, because this is its first like big theater debut where it's an actual movie and not a show. We're so used to seeing these characters on our small screens at home, or depending if you have like a private theater in your house or something. But it is definitely going to be really interesting of if the vibe of the movie is going to feel like a Star Wars movie, or if you're going to be like, oh, I'm just watching an extra long episode of of the Mandalorian. So, and I'm thinking because they will be having Zeb in it, which just how much is going to be going into that character. I think that's going to be a lot of work of what they put into it to really make that character come to life. And I think maybe that's where a decent amount of the budget of the film probably went to, um, just because of that creature has never been done in live action before. So it
Yeah.
should be really interesting to see that on the big screen. But yeah, going forward, I would love to watch most of the show and then be like, all right, here we go. The final episode is going to be in theaters, and of just having the option of where you can watch it at home or going to this theater and watching it would be really really cool. But
Yeah. And I think Disney can take a page out of Netflix's book. You said, we've seen Ahsoka in theaters with like a limited advanced screening. It's more of a
yeah,
promotional type stuff. We do these all the time. We've been to them a lot. But no, like have it wide release, a day's worth of showings. Theaters will be more than happy to dedicate a single theater to a theatrical release of a popular TV show or something like Mandalorian and Grogu. A day's worth of showings, you're bound
Yeah,
to not only make some good side money for it, but also help get the buzz out there and help have folks with and having a better experience than just watching it in the comfort of your own home. You've been in movies for a long time. I mean, like you've been working at a theater for a long time. I got my
yeah,
start. My first job was working at a theater. I'm not even kidding. Like the experience of watching something for the first time can also depend a lot about how you're doing it, like the quality of the manner in which you're watching it. If you're
yeah.
watching it with great picture, great sound, great environment, you're more than likely bound to have a better experience as opposed to, something negative happening, um, either because of you or like outside interference, whatever else. Like I've been to movies where I've had a bad experience because of, someone talking, something else being disruptive, and so that ruins the entire experience. So what I'm trying to get at is have some more of these theatrical showings for your shows in the best possible experience for fans, and you will create a larger buzz in doing so. And we'll
I 100% agree. Yeah,
be more than
yeah,
happy to pay money to see Zeb on a big screen. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. And I mean, and kind of tying back to Stranger Things, Sean Levy, who helped write and direct a bunch of episodes in Stranger Things. He is now directing, Star Wars Starfighter in 2027 when that comes out. So I'm really excited to see what vibe that he brings to the Star Wars universe, just because he he did Deadpool and Wolverine, he did Fall Guy, um, Free Guy, Fall Guy, Free Guy,
free guy.
Free Guy. Sorry, Fall Guy. I
You're
was like,
good.
but yeah. So yeah, no, he's got a great resume, and all the episodes that he did in Stranger Things just felt so cinematic, and it was very similar to when John Favreau directed that first episode of season 2 of The Mandalorian. I will always just remember the big fight with a crate dragon, and as the screen just gets wide, and you're like, oh, son of a bantha, like this is real, and just everything uh that he did with Stranger Things, which is so cool. So I'm excited to see what he has to bring to the table for Star Wars. I'm super
100%.
pumped for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So with that being said, let's dive into all the cool stuff that's coming out this year. But before we do, thank you to VCN, Virtual Cantina Network. They've got a bunch of big stuff happening this year and next year, and just, beyond. Most incredible people. Go to their website, virtualcantinanetwork.com. We are just uh, a flavor of ice cream in the ice cream truck that is VCN. There are so many other channels out there. Go to the website, see all of the other great channels that are part of the network, and go and check them out. And tune in for more info about the upcoming uh, Bunta Eve parties that are happening this year and next year as well. But yeah, super, super exciting. Um, yeah, so for show wise, we got Maul Shadow Lord, which has no official release date yet. And then we have the Ninth Jedi, which is a spin off series from Visions. And that will be, since Disney has gotten the franchise, it'll be like its first like actual full series that is not canon. And that's going to open up a lot of possibilities in the future if it goes well. Because if they do a full fledged series where it's just like it's the main story because you could count all of the seasons of Visions because all those aren't canon. But I'm talking about like this is the first full fledged story that is not canon, where it's like just a main TV show that they're doing. So it's gonna be really interesting of how that turns out because I really enjoyed those episodes. Um, did you watch Visions at all or no?
Never got around to it. It's on my list of things to do. It's just been a crazy end of 2025 and
Yeah,
just relaxing for now. But yeah,
yeah. Visions is good. It is anime. I was never the biggest fan of anime growing up, but what's so great about what they did with Visions and Star Wars was it was just a bunch of different artists that was and different directors that were having their take on Star Wars of what it means to them and what it could be and just paying tribute and each episode is very unique and different and that's and it's such a cool project so I'm definitely um I'm definitely looking forward to the Ninth Jedi, and you know if it does well, it could open possible doors to other non-canon shows because I think a lot of people would love to see something with the Force Unleashed. I think that would be really cool because we know that's not canon anymore, and maybe they could be like, we are continuing the journey of Force Unleashed, where it's like Force Unleashed 3 because the end of Force Unleashed 2, you had two endings of where like you had the dark side version of the clone of Star Killer of where like he kills everyone and then uh he goes off and um hunts for people and then there's the other one where the light side version of Star Killer ends up like not he ends up not getting killed by the clone, and then they capture Vader, and then the final scene is Boba Fett going after Vader in hyperspace. So I would love for them to continue that story. So who knows? Who knows? I mean, I know Sam Witwer loves that character. So you know, with the Ninth Jedi, they could definitely open up the door to other possible shows where it's not canon. I think that would be really cool.
well, they need
Um,
to hurry because Sam is he's not getting any younger, and he actually looks younger
dare
than he
you?
really is. But
Mhm.
he's no spring chicken. So if they want to do something like that, do it soon. That way, Sam
Yeah.
can actually do a lot of the practical stuff and
It
some
could
of the
be,
stunts.
yeah.
Yeah.
I I mean, it could be animated. They could definitely go in the Clone Wars animation style way. You know what kind of animation style that we haven't seen in a long time? It's the one that Bob, that Bob Zemeckis came up with for like Polar Express, Beowulf.
Mhm.
Like we haven't seen that animation style in a while, and I think maybe if they did something up with Force Unleashed, it'd be cool. I might be the only one in that realm that is thinking that, but yeah,
I still want KOTOR. Like, I'm down
yeah,
with
yeah,
Force Unleashed. But yeah, more KOTOR. Anything KOTOR. Give us Revan. Make something happen soon. Which there's been a lot of rumblings, right? Like, and they
yeah.
announced the new game that's supposed to be in that sort of space.
Fate of
No,
the Old Republic. Yeah,
yeah, and so I'm gonna be very hopeful that it's not just a reference. We don't want KOTOR 2 as a reference point. We want to see like actual not only inspiration but inclusion of those plot points and those stories and some of those characters and that lore. And so I really hope it's not like some sort of spiritual successor or sequel to KOTOR, but like full-fledged actual sequel. And I also
yeah,
hope it doesn't take like 5 years to make, which they said not 5 years, but that
yeah,
doesn't leave a lot of room for like being hopeful. So make it to late 2027 release. I'd be happy with that.
yeah. I like. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot that can happen. in uh, on these big projects. For example, you had Star Wars Eclipse that was announced almost 5 years ago, I think. And I remember that when that trailer dropped, I was like, "Oh wow, like this looks really good," and it takes place during the High Republic era. And then they said, "Oh yeah, it's like 5 or 6 years out. Like it won't come out until 2028 or something." And I was like, "That's why on earth would you drop a trailer? Like that's crazy." And then they just stopped talking about it. And at one point, it sounded like it was canceled, and then they kept saying it was going, and the status of it is unknown. And I remember, you and me being at San Diego Comic Con, and we were walking around near the Star Wars booth, and I started hearing the trailer, and I looked up, and they're playing the trailer for Eclipse, and I leaned over to Lucasfilm employee, and I was like, "Hey, what does what does this mean?" And he's like, "You have to wait and see. I don't know." And I was like, "Don't do to that, me man. Come on." But yeah, so yeah, I was gonna say I really would hope that we would get the new Knights of the Old Republic sooner than later. But yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty epic just seeing that announcement trailer at the Game Awards, which were not
yeah,
too long ago.
yeah,
And for me, I'm always pessimistic. I'm never optimistic about announcement trailers. I really don't watch the award shows or like the Game Awards thinking we're gonna get something that's gonna blow my mind.
yeah,
And I get surprised every single time. There's always one or two announcements. I'm like, okay, you guys are really doing something now. That one is so unexpected that yeah, that's pretty exciting. The only thing that would be more unexpected would be like a new Half-Life game or like a Left 4 Dead game from Valve, which if you know Valve, the video game company, they're notorious for not ever putting out like a trilogy installment in any of their projects or their franchises. So probably not going to happen. But yeah, that's exciting, and I hope this is a sign that they're willing to, dip their toe back into the old Republic sort of story and lore and really dig into that. This might be the beginning of a new era. You start putting out games, you start putting out visions episodes with some of these characters and some side characters from this era, and then you
yeah,
start digging into live action stuff, and hopefully there's a movie on the horizon somewhere, or at least a series. An Old Republic
yeah.
series would absolutely be incredible. It would be the greatest thing ever, and you don't have to rehash the story from the game one for one. You could also just do it as a side character, an unknown, watching the events unfold. I would also
Yeah.
dig something like that, but we'll see what happens.
I remember at Star Celebration 2019 when a couple of us thought, I mean, so at that point it was rumored of Ryan Johnson's trilogy that he was going to end up doing was going to be something with the Old Republic. And that excited a lot of fans. And there were a couple of us that actually thought that they were going to officially announce that at Star Celebration 2019. Obviously, it didn't happen, but, um, uh, it's just something that the fans want. I I would love to. I mean, like, how there's just so many projects where us fans are just like, "Hey, I really want this. This would be really cool." And there's a bunch of people saying it, but then they don't make it. My thing is I would love to, like, go and ask them, be like, "Why haven't you hopped on this? What's the reason for not doing that?" And then maybe us fans would have more of an understanding.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and I get it could be of just finding the right story or something like that. It's just like it's so interesting that it could be the most simple thing that and or something really tough, and then that's why they're not making that project. But they're not going to tell the public everything, and I get that. I understand that they wanted to be a surprise, and but it's just I would really like to know why we haven't gotten a Knights of the Old Republic TV show. and we got, you know, a High Republic TV show instead. Um, just because I felt like if it was in the Old Republic era and we had the chance to get, you know, uh, Darth, uh, Darth Malik and Darth Revan and just of that era, that would have been really, really cool. So I really would love to see of you know of what's going on over there, of why they're making these certain decisions on things and kind of holding back on certain projects that, you know, that us fans are just like, we know it would be really good. Why isn't it made yet? So I would love
It's
to hear that.
proven. It's
Yeah,
proven. This rich, multi-layered story with these incredible characters and all of this world building and lore that makes sense to us. You don't have to go out of your way to create new lore or to try and bend the rules or try and get us to get on board with a new facet of the Force or
yeah,
something. It's all right here. It's all right there for the taking, and we're already on board. And you have our full support. You just got to make it. You just got to go for it.
just just do it, as one great Emperor of the Galaxy once said. Just do it. Just do it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, yeah, and then, you know, speaking of games, we have Zero Company, which will be a strategy game, coming out later in the year, and then there's and that takes place during the Clone Wars, which is super cool. And then
Nice.
you have Galactic Racer, which is probably going to be probably one of my favorite anticipated games that's coming out next year. I'm super excited for it. Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, I love the old Pod Racer games, even though it's
Yes.
not a Pod Racer game. Um, it will feel like it, and it's funny because so Boba even makes a cameo in the trailer, and you're just like, pod racing has evolved
Mm,
because because of from what we saw, there's like, you know, different broken ships where like they've added different parts to it, and then they've also like of different broken down speeder bikes that they added parts. It kind of reminds me of what we saw in the Mandalorian season 2, of where Cad Bane adds like a pod racer engine to his speeder bike, and for a while everyone was saying that's Anakin's pod racer, and that's not uh, at all confirmed. But everyone saw the same engine, and it
yeah.
sounded the same, but it was never confirmed, and I thought that was always funny. But yeah, I would love to do something like that in the game, and then you can race online with friends and everything. So I am looking forward to that game. That game looks pretty fire.
It's interesting that that was announced because I was going through. I don't have a lot of time for video games. I wish I really did. So when I do, I go through like my library of stuff or my daughter who's kind of getting into video games right now. I'm
Yeah,
looking for new stuff for her to play. It's slim pickings if you're a parent and you're trying to, you know, make sure they have a good experience but not get into anything too ahead of their maturity level. And so while I'm going through the library of games and like some old games that I used to play, I found Pod Racer. I found the pod racing game, the old
yeah,
one, and I'm like, "There's no way this is the same thing." Downloaded it, played it. It's the exact same. It's probably a little bit tougher since I can't tell you why, but the controls, I just they weren't coming back to me right away, so it took a while to like kind of figure it out again.
yeah.
But yeah, it's the pod racing game, and I'm like, dude, this is so cool. It's weird how when we played it, the graphics were like so amazing, and now you
Yeah.
look at it again, it's like, oh man, it does not look how I remembered it at all. So
No,
yeah, it's cool.
no, I completely agree with that because of I remember growing up playing the Halo games, and now they are in the first stage of remastering those, and there was a like a gameplay trailer and just a trailer in general for Halo Evolved, and they've remastered it, and it's with like today's graphics, and it's absolutely bonkers. It's absolutely insane. Uh, and then, um, you know, of the new game with Galactic Racer, I'm really curious of how that's going to look. Uh, I might have to, I don't think there's going to be a new gaming system by then. I don't think it's going to be like the PlayStation 6 or anything like that, but we'll have to see. But yeah, definitely excited for Galactic Racer. Don't know about Zero Company yet. I'm waiting for a full out game trailer. Because we just got a teaser and we saw some gameplay, I think, but I want like the full thing like before I jump on it. But yeah, yeah, those are
I'm
super
surprised. I
cool.
thought I thought you would just be all on board, give it a shot.
Well, I am. So strategic games like that can be a swing or a miss for me, which is funny because of there's one card game I really like, which someone made a mobile game for it where it is Sabak of, but they turn it into a mobile game and they have all the versions of Sabak on it. But with the game, I don't, I don't know. I'll have to see the full trailer, and it'll be my decision from there. But yeah,
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 exciting, man.
yeah. And then your Mall Shadow Lord looks very good. We got some teasers from Sam Witwer over at Rebel ScumCon, which was super cool. And then people who went to Star Wars Celebration had the opportunity to go see the trailer, and somehow it leaked online. Shocker, just because uh, that stuff leaks all the time. But it looks good. I'm really excited, and it's very similar to the animation of what they did in the Clone Wars. It takes place 1 year after the events of Order 66. So uh, Maul has, he's been on the run, he's been surviving, and then he's gonna try and build everything up that we eventually see in the underworld with of what he was doing in Solo and all that stuff, down the road. So it should definitely be interesting. There's no confirmation of when that's going to come out, but there are hints because you can actually order some Mall Shadow Lord merch. For example, they have the um, Mall figure that is from Mall Shadow Lord. You can pre-order that, and that's going to be available in March. So my suspicions is that it will be around the springtime, and then uh, you know going into spring, in May, you have the Mandalorian Grogu. Most likely, they'll probably have another thing of Tales because we've had Tales of the Underworld, Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Jedi. So we'll probably get that fourth story. Um, so yeah, and then not 100% if Ahsoka season 2 is happening. We did get a sneak peek from Rosario Dawson of what Ahsoka of what the logo looks like because she posted a picture of her jacket, of her crew jacket that all of them were given for filming season 2. And she posted that on her Instagram
So you mean you don't know if it's
yesterday.
happening in 2026? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no confirmation that Ahsoka season 2 is happening in 2026 yet. Uh, because I think there was an advertisement for all the upcoming Star Wars projects of this year, and Ahsoka season 2 wasn't listed on it.
I kind of expected them to premiere it late 2026.
I'm thinking
Um,
that too.
yeah, usually after they wrapped, and I know they wrapped late in 2025. I don't remember the exact time frame, but like production usually takes 6 to 8 months, I think, for
Yeah.
a show like this that requires heavy VFX, a ton of editing, a ton of marketing, all that kind of thing. So I kind of expected a late 2026 release regardless. Don't they kind of do like November-ish kind of premieres for a lot of shows? I feel like Mandalorian did that at one point. So I
Yeah,
I think they
yeah.
might try and do something like that. But out of everything that Star Wars is doing in 2026, I feel like that's the thing I'm looking the most forward to, because season 1 has proven you can really aim high and really stick the landing. I mean, they really were bold with so many things. Kind of introducing a gray Jedi, if you want to think Balin's kind of like that or not.
Yeah.
um, we had zombie troopers for the first time ever. You don't want to call them that, that's fine, but I'm a zombie fan, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that and call them zombie
We
troopers.
they were calling them like, they were death troopers, like the original death troopers, because in Legends there actually were zombie, type troopers, and they were referred to as death troopers.
Mm.
So the fact they actually had, death troopers that were zombies, kind of finally, like they're finally living up to the name of death troopers.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no, I I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah, they introduced so much like rich content in the first season, and it just feels like the sky's the limit. And they're getting outside the galaxy. They're exploring new worlds, and there's just so much to look forward to. And also, I was a huge fan of Ray Stevenson, but I just
Yeah,
can't wait to see what the new cast does in the next season. And it's just exciting, man. Like all the mysteries
yeah,
they established in the first season are enough to have me hooked going forward. And so it feels
yeah.
like they're setting up something major, something groundbreaking, something pivotal in the Star Wars universe. And so I'm all for it.
I think so too. I think that there's going to be more stuff in the World Between Worlds. We know Hayden Christensen is coming back as Anakin.
Yep.
You actually had the wonderful opportunity of talking to the actor that is actually going to be taking over the role of Balin Skull, because you did an interview with him a couple
Rory
of weeks back.
McCann.
Yes, I just lost my lights. That's okay. Um,
Disney's watching and they're like, all right, turn this off. Turn this off right now.
yeah,
That's enough out of these two. No more about they've said too much. Turn off
exactly.
all the power in in Michigan.
Yeah. Today
Yeah,
has been an
Rory
interesting
McCann,
day, but yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
who
Yeah.
dude is a gentle giant, and you I think there's just not a nicer person that they could have asked. And I don't know him personally. I've only had one conversation with the man, but just in that one conversation about, his passion, his work ethic, his background, um, and just getting this opportunity, he doesn't take it for granted. He's completely 100% in. He's so passionate about it. And he's literally one of us. He grew up a Star Wars fan. He is that
Yeah.
ripe age when Star Wars, was released in theaters and it changed his life. So when you love hearing from a person who expresses how much the franchise has meant to them and changed their life getting into that franchise, like those are the people you really want to see kind of get those opportunities. And so for Rory,
Yeah.
it's a huge opportunity, and I can't wait to see not only what he does with it, but how well Lucasfilm and Disney treat him. Because keep the man around, really do
Yeah.
something with this character. The fans are hooked. The fans are on board with Balin. So it could go past Ahsoka. You could do something in between Ahsoka. You could do an animated sort of like who was this guy before? Like
Yeah.
there's so much you could do with this character.
I because we know that he, kind of fled, during the events of, Order 66, and he, in a way, he kind of reminds me of General Ram Koda, but like a darker version of him. That character I'm talking about was the mentor version of, I mean, for Star Killer and the Force Unleashed games. And I really would love to see, his character more explored, maybe at the end of the Clone Wars, and maybe of how he survived this long of kind of being in the outskirts, and him meeting Shin for the first time. All that would be super cool. So I'm really really excited to see what they end up doing with that character.
And to me, he kind of feels like a Count Dooku in the sense that
Yeah,
like he sees the flaws and the fallacies with the Jedi Order, and so he knows like they mean well, but they're not willing to do everything that's necessary, and so
yeah,
he's sort of doing things that he feels are necessary for the greater good, which makes him a fantastic villain because he's got this conviction where like he feels that what he's doing is the right way to do things, and he's sort of siding with the remnants of the empire, but it also feels like he doesn't fully agree with everything they're doing. Like he's kind
yeah,
of got this barrier in between himself and them, and he's just willing to kind of use that partnership for his own gain or for the whatever he's trying to accomplish. And that's sort of the biggest mystery is what is Balin Skoll trying to accomplish that he feels is worth traveling to these distant galaxies and siding with the evil remnants of this empire in order to do so? Like um
yeah,
a person or a character with that much conviction is really fascinating. And so to me he kind of feels like that Count Dooku because we got to finally see those events when they put out that animated stuff with Count Dooku,
yeah.
uh
And Tales of the Jedi. Yeah,
Tales of the Jedi, and that was incredible, man. Like I loved kind of see I love the hero's story. What I love more than that is watching a hero's sort of tap into that dark side nature and sometimes fall. And it's great to see them kind of come back to the light or good or whatever you want to call it, or battle evil later on. But just seeing those transitions, and if it's done really well, like how they did in Tales of the Jedi with Count Dooku, like that was
yeah.
incredible, powerful stuff.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree because of everything that happened with Count Dooku. I think all of the writing was just beautiful. I found the acting was great, and uh, something else that's really interesting is that Balin Skoll had a very similar view to the Jedi Order as Count Dooku did, and uh, and the way that he talked about how the Jedi, um, like of just the way that they looked at everything was like kind of like a fairy tale, and Shin was like asking um, if like he missed being a Jedi and of being part of the Jedi Order, and of his answer was very vague, and I think it's because the same view that Count Dooku had, which was that the Jedi lost their way. They they got clouded by greed and politics. And I think one example in Tales of the Jedi was when Dooku and Mace Windu got back to their they got back from the mission. They went to the council, and it looked like that the council position was actually supposed to go to Count Dooku, but Mace Windu went for a power grab and like kind of threw him under the bus, and then Mace Windu got that spot on the council instead of Dooku, and it's really really interesting uh, to uh, to see that side of Dooku that we've only heard about, but seeing it on screen and that performance was really interesting. And I think if they did something very similar with um if they did something very similar with Balin Skull, I think that would be great. And if it is an animated form or they end up doing a live action of where maybe he goes into the world between worlds and we see more stuff from the past and everything, that would be super cool. And I could definitely see maybe when Balin Skull does go over there and somehow he does tap into the world between worlds, he does encounter Anakin Skywalker, and we end up seeing a lightsaber fight between these two characters. That would be really, really cool
That would
because
be insane.
Balin
Yeah.
Skull knew Anakin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be very,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
cool.
that's drama right there. That's the epitome of drama. How does he react? You know, is it he might blame Anakin for, things going the way they have, and the reason why Balin's out here in the first place might be because of those events of Order 66. So he
Yeah,
actually might, kind of make him the face of like, you are the reason why I'm risking my life out here to kind of do something. I don't know what Balin feels could actually fix things other than
yeah,
time travel. Are we going to
hmm
see that kind of a thing in Star Wars? I
yeah,
doubt it, but like what else could possibly, set things right in Balin's mind that's actually a possibility for him? That's the $1 million question.
yeah. By the way, I'm really glad that my theory was wrong for Stranger Things and there wasn't time travel. I'm so glad I was wrong. I mean, it's just there were so many hints of different time travel things in there, and when they ended up not going back, I'm like, you know what? I'm really glad that they didn't, just because I just felt like that would have added to a whole other thing to Stranger Things of just to make the plot more like crazy. So I'm glad they didn't do that. But one thing, and I know we're still in the hype of Stranger Things, but I have to say this is that I hope I hope they end up putting a live recording of the stage play
Mm,
from what they did with the first Shadow, because no joke, there were certain scenes in the finale that you had to have gone and see the play to fully appreciate and understand those scenes. And so I really hope that they end up making that stage play and they end up like doing a live recording, kind of like of what they did with Hamilton on Disney Plus, but do it with Stranger Things and then they put it on Netflix because that is a chapter that I think needs to be seen for all the public. And not everyone has the opportunity to go see plays and fly out to New York and all that stuff. So I really think that they should definitely do a recording and put that onto Netflix so then people can watch it. But yeah, um, uh, but yeah, time travel. I could totally see them doing that again. I could see them more stuff. I know you would really, really wanted to put on the Clone Wars armor for his for Obi Wan Kenobi. Everyone would love to see Clone Wars Obi Wan, you know, live action. It'd be so cool. And him alongside Hayden and his Clone Wars armor would be just awesome. And it's just something the fans want. And I want more Tamara Morrison as in clones. Like I just want to like hear his voice. I want to see his face, and I think that's something that bothered me when we got to that episode of the Clone Wars of where we saw. I mean, of Ahsoka, and and it was a live action part, and we saw the clones, and we actually did see the clones with their helmets off, but magically they all had like these bandages across their faces. Every single one of them did, and I was like, just seeing the clones' faces alongside these characters would have been so cool. And seeing Rex for a split second was cool, but I think Tamara Morrison actually like out in the field as these clones. As old man Captain Rex, of where they're in present day and then the timeline would be super cool. So I yeah, season two is just going to be crazy, man. It's going to be absolutely insane, especially from that concept trailer that we got over at Star Wars Celebration. I'm not sure if you've seen the footage for that, but it's crazy, absolutely insane. Um, there's like different monsters. There at one point, Chopper has a blaster, and it's just like, yeah, it's just going to be crazy. It's going to be absolutely insane.
can't wait.
But yeah, yeah. And then going beyond, there have been rumors of a other new Republic show of like of something happening like during the Mandoverse, like a different show, kind of like Skeleton Crew, like where it takes place in the timeline of the Mandoverse. Um, and then we know there's the James Mangold film Dawn of the Jedi, which takes place 26,000 years before the events of the prequels. Um, we don't have a release date on that. We got nothing with it at all, except we know that James Mangold is making it, and we know that it's going to be a biblical film of the Force, and I think that's great. I think there's a lot of pressure riding on that because, in a way, I think this might be the discovery of what the Force is, and the Force is a character itself in Star Wars. So there's a there's a lot of pressure on there of kind of getting into that philosophy on how the Force was discovered, and and how it came to be, and who the first Jedi was, who the first Sith was, and of how maybe how things were very black and white, and how that affects going forward into the timeline of where we see the Jedi eventually fall more towards the dark and they get blinded by corruption. So yeah, no, that movie is definitely on my list. I'm very interested in that one. I just think there's a lot of pressure making it, just because the Force is a huge thing. Like that's the thing that binds the galaxy together in a sense, and that's exactly what Obi-Wan said all the way back in 1977. So it's a I feel like there's a lot of pressure riding on that film.
The most amount of pressure anyone has ever felt in making a movie will be that film by James Mangold.
Yeah,
Um, I like a ton of his stuff. Uh, I like the way he writes. I've liked a bunch of his projects. But I just I don't even know where you start. Where do you begin trying to um come off with making a movie about the origins of the Force?
yeah,
I know he did movies like Logan, he did movies like Walk the Line, Identity, Ford versus Ferrari. So he's got he knows what he's doing. He's a fantastic storyteller. But yeah, the most pressure ever trying to pull off that type of film.
yeah, yeah. And I think like for a majority of his films, I think they are kind of like not super dark. I think they're on the darker side for like of theming and stuff like that. I think Logan is a fine example of that, and really really enjoyed Logan. Um, and I think with this theme and of of the origin of the Force and everything, I think it is important to show that maybe in the beginning it wasn't like I'm a Jedi, I'm a Sith. I think there's going to be something that happens that really defines that, and then of like some battles, some moment that really defines that, and kind of like the origin story to Transformers One, I think it was, because Optimus Prime and uh, Megatron were like best friends, but then certain events happened where like we we like ended up seeing their origins of where like uh, Optimus Prime becomes the leader of the Autobots, and then Megatron becomes, the leader of the Decepticons, and he comes up with the Decepticons and stuff like that. Like I could see something like that happening, of where an event certain like happens when and they discover the Force, and then they both don't agree, and somehow the word comes to be like Jedi. Like of them coming up with the word Jedi is going to be interesting, and Sith too. Like I'm really curious of where like those origins of those words are going to be, and how do they come up with the name of the Force? Like, how are they going to do that? So, of just writing that, I'm telling you, and I know you agree with me, but that's got to be a lot of pressure, like a lot of
And
pressure.
and also he's writing this with with Andor writer Bo Willimon. So
Yeah,
it's in good hands. Bo has also written House of Cards. He's also a producer on Severance. Um, so it's in good hands. I'm also looking forward to figuring out where does the prophecy stem from? Because I don't think that's been
Yeah,
introduced either.
I
Um,
don't know if they'll touch on that. I really don't know. I mean, there were some things that George Lucas was very clear of when he wrote, when he sold, you know, the rights to Star Wars to Disney. And I don't know if the prophecy was something that he was like, you can't touch that. But there was one that's very well known, which is they can never tell the origins of Yoda. That
mm,
was part of the contract, was that they could never tell the rights or I mean, or his origin or anything about Yoda. Nothing with Yoda about his origin story at all. George Lucas made that very clear, and I think that was a really really good idea, just because of um, not knowing everything about Yoda kind of adds to the mystery of it, um, of that character. And I think that's the same thing about the Force. I think, of leaving that to the audience, like, of their imagination of how the Force came to be and everything, is just always been strong. Like me growing up, I've always had theories, but when that's established in a movie, all of that goes away because it's like, boom, this is canon now. This
yeah.
is where this came from. So I trust the writers, and I really like James Mangold work, but it's just like, how are they going to do this? And will a decent amount of people walk away feeling satisfied, or being like, you just touch something that's so sacred and you didn't do it the way that we wanted? And there's going to be those people, but it's just like, this is a big deal. The Force, like I said, is a character itself in Star Wars. So yeah, it should be interesting. I am looking forward to it, though.
I don't think we'll ever be able to really predetermine the angle they're gonna have to attack this from, because there has to be some sort of conflict, right?
Yeah,
Like, there has to be some sort of military conflict, war between planets or factions of some kind, because it's a Star Wars movie, so you have to have some sort of conflict involved. It can't just be like 2 people sitting under a tree one day and
yeah,
like, "Did you feel that?" That kind of thing. So,
yeah.
it's gotta be something along those lines, and then, do you are lightsabers something that were kind of around and they were only adopted
Right.
by the
Yeah.
Jedi, or
Yeah.
did did someone just say, like, "If I take these crystals and I put them with all of this, and I'm listening to these instructions in my head that I don't know where they're coming from," and suddenly you have this, this elegant weapon,
Yeah.
um I can't figure out what angle they're gonna, like, attack this from. There's no obvious way to kind of come up with a story involving the origins of the Force. It's just wild.
They could. So there's a planet called Ilum, and um we see it in the Clone Wars. We see it in Jedi Fallen Order, and then actually that planet ends up becoming like the vessel for like Star Killer Base. And that planet was, one of the main planets that had kyber crystals, of where you could go, and then Jedi younglings would go through the ceremony of finding their crystal in the caves, and then that's how they would make their first Jedi. And actually, in in a certain episode of Clone Wars, that's where the character of Q Yang was actually introduced. And so I would love, if they did, maybe end up on Ilum, and they end up going into the cave, and they find a bunch of different things in there. So, yeah, it would be super, super cool.
Deserve.
Yeah. Um,
Uh, Only they're still writing the script, and James Mangold was announced a few months ago to sign a 5-picture deal with Paramount. So
oh,
I don't even know what time frame we're looking at. How long does it take to make 5 other movies? I
yeah,
would say probably 3 to 4 years, give or take 8 months for a project, or a year for a project, 4 to 5 years. So we're talking like his script's not done yet. He's got a 5-picture deal with Paramount. So we're probably not even talking. We're not gonna see anything related
for a
to
while.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, starting production till like 2030, the earliest. That's being conservative.
They
Um,
announced so many projects at Star Wars Celebration in London in 2023 because they announced that. They announced the Ray movie. They announced a big Avengers style type movie that Dave Filoni is doing. Um, they announced a lot. They announced a lot of different projects. And this isn't the first time because if you look back at the investors call back in 2020, they announced like almost like 20 projects. There was something called the Droid Story. There was the Rangers. That there was Rangers of the New Republic, and there were a decent amount of projects that they announced that they ended up not doing. Like we still haven't heard anything about the Lando series. Um, like they're not in post production. All we know is that Donald Glover and his brother are writing for the series, but that's really it. That's all we really know. Um, uh, like for that series. And I think the Lando series would be really cool. I would love to, get more of Donald Glover in that character. Have Jonas come back as Chewbacca. Have Alden come back as Han. Um, so yeah, I think they just announced a bunch of different things, and that's totally fine. I like I mean I get where you want to get people excited, but it's just like Lando was announced 6 years ago, Ted.
hmm, yeah.
6 years ago now, which is absolutely insane. That we, haven't really even like heard about the main plot or anything like that. So yeah, should be interesting. Of what we
They need to
eventually find
wait
out.
until, I mean, I think James Gunn's trying to do this, even though it's not worked out completely. They need to wait until a script is written,
Yep.
is done, it is approved, and they're already in like casting stages. Because even like with other franchises, DC being one of them, they've announced movies, they've written a script, and then they decide the script isn't really up to par, and so the
Yeah.
entire project gets scrapped. It was, forget what movie it was. They recently talked about some character in the military, I think it was. But
Okay.
yeah, not don't announce anything until like it's
There's
script
an
is
actual
done,
script.
it's approved, you have everybody on board to like green light the project. There's not one person at the table that says like, no, it's a bad idea. No, just it's done. You got a budget already,
Yeah.
announced for it or finalized on, and then you have production already scheduled. Like, wait till that moment before you actually start
Yeah.
telling fans about it. So, it's just something for us.
You know what series that I mean, and it's not Star Wars, but it is Lucasfilm and Disney related. And I was really bummed when they canceled it. It was the Willow series. They
Yeah.
I love the movie and was really happy when they turned it into a TV show. And then they have a TV show on. Apparently it wasn't well received and I was just like I liked it. I really enjoyed this. This was really cool. And then not only did they cancel it, but they took it off Disney Plus. So you can't watch it anywhere. It is locked in the vault somewhere. Like you can't watch that on Disney Plus. I guarantee you there are some people that ended up like downloading all the episodes somehow and they're bootlegging it, which is wrong. But it's just like that show was good. Like why didn't you just kind of fix the problems that you had in the next season? Like I get viewership and all that stuff, and I get from a company side, but also that was good. I liked Willow, so I'm really bummed that they did not continue with it. And I know that Warwick Davis was not happy about it, and I don't blame him. But
I
yeah,
don't blame him either. Yeah. I think there's a lot to appreciate about that show. It was, for me, it took a little bit longer for me to get emotionally invested in it.
yeah,
I'd say the second half was a lot better than the first half.
yeah,
Um, but I think there's also maybe not an issue, but like I think these studios have to understand the world is different. and the way you have to market to people is no longer the same. You just can't put out trailers and then you can't just say something in an interview. You
Yeah.
have to be cohesive with the messaging across the board and the targeting of your audience. Because us using social media and all of these apps and all of these websites, we have been rewired on how um, we sort of take in information and how we take in content. And so you now have to transition and evolve your marketing practices. And that involves how you target an audience and how you get the message across about what your project is and who it's for. And you need to be
Yeah.
clear in that messaging. But it's just the way the world is now. It's so polarizing, and you have to be so careful with how things are said or perceived, because it just adds ammunition or fuel to certain demographics of individuals, or certain individuals that want to grift and take advantage of situations and scenarios. And so it sucks that's the way the world is, but that's the way it is these days.
Yeah.
And so the
Yeah.
messaging has to be clear, concise across the board. You have to change the way information is perceived and taken in. It's almost like movies should start giving out less information and trying to build up hype different ways. It's no longer just about the trailers. That was the old model. The new
Yeah.
model, which I think can get fans excited about projects, is almost like a guerrilla marketing. I go back to 2018 when a little film called Cloverfield, which was basically an independent film, they released a very unknown trailer on a Super Bowl Sunday. And then from there, without a name or without any sort of information on what this project was, they started guerrilla marketing tactics online, creating fake websites to help
Yeah.
promote their film in a certain way, and just creating this whole online sort of rabbit hole for their film, in which succeeded. It really did a number and got fans invested in a movie that really had no name and no real trailer. It was just this teaser that came out of nowhere. So studios have to try new things and really be bold in how they're promoting films. You can't do it the same way anymore. It's not how people are wired these days. And so you really gotta get out there and get ahead of the
Yeah.
narrative and really be bold in sort of your marketing going forward. 2026, you got to try something new. The old ways
Yeah.
aren't working anymore.
I agree, and there is a lot to look forward to. We have a couple of big cons. We got Space Con, we got Rebel Scum Con. Of course, San Diego Comic Con, and San Diego Comic Con this year is just going to be crazy. So yeah, I would say there is so much to look forward to, and in the realm of Star Wars, there is a lot too. I guarantee you that there will be surprises that they haven't even announced yet. And if you're in the realm of someone that reads a bunch of books and comics, there is a bunch of different stuff coming out. There's a prequel comic coming out for Maul Shadow Lord. There is one, which is super cool. I believe Ray on Countdown is getting his hands on it. And correct me if I'm wrong. Is he doing an interview with someone
I
that's involved in it?
I think he might already have done the interview and he's just
That's
editing
really
it
cool.
right now.
Yeah,
It's hard to keep up with Ray because he does like 3 interviews a
a lot
week.
of things. Yeah.
He does so
So
many interviews, and I kind of he gives me a heads up. He's like, "Hey, I'm doing this," and then he goes off to set
yeah.
it all up and do the editing and stuff. And so yeah, he's got some exciting stuff coming out.
Yeah. So yeah, no, there's so much to look forward to, and um, us over at Countdown and Live at Lightspeed for the Virtual Continent Network will be covering it. One final thing: there is the new museum that is coming out.
Yes.
The new museum is coming out in September, and it looks so cool. There's gonna be so many props. I think on the next episode that Brooke and I do, we are just diving deep into that and everything announced for it. Just because us being at that panel, Ted, of you know, that was so cool to see George Lucas just throwing the passion about that project, and it was great seeing him, but I was more excited to like see him, like look and feel passionate about something
Y-
again. Because like you just see him in interviews where people talk about Star Wars, but it's really cool to see him, talk about more than Star Wars and just something that he's passionate about. And this is a passion project for him. You really saw that on stage. So I can't wait to see it in person. I can't wait to go in person. It's gonna be super cool.
Yeah,
But
and seeing him, chop it up with the likes of like Guillermo del Toro, like on stage, like
yeah,
when is this ever gonna happen again? These two just
yeah,
master storytellers, and they're at that age where it's like, they give zero F's about um what people think about them anymore, and like they're proven and they have this legacy, and now they're really just out here to carve out their little piece of history and
yeah,
entertainment by
yeah,
establishing um it's basically an entertainment museum that covers everything. It's not only films, it's not only television, it's not only comics. It's everything. It's everything that deserves to be preserved. Deserves to be preserved. It should be on a shirt. And
yep,
it's exciting. And
yeah.
yeah, it's incredible.
It's it's a bunch of things from his collection that he's just collected over the years. And
But it spans a wide range of things.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just his collection, it's a bunch of, close friends of his that are also
Yep.
uh contributing to it as well. So
Yep.
and of just the small stuff that we saw from it was just super cool. And I can't wait to go. I cannot wait to go to that museum. That's gonna be so much fun.
And I
But
think Robert Rodriguez is also one of the contributors to it, if I'm not mistaken. He was at LA Comic Con November, October-ish, and he did a
okay.
panel with a few individuals, and it was moderated by
Yeah.
Jessica Alba of all people. But it was all about this museum and
Yeah.
how George is kind of leading this initiative, and how all these directors and storytellers and movie makers are coming together and making this a reality.
Yeah. Yep. So just adding that to the list. That's happening in September. So yeah, we'll dive deeper into that the next episode. But I believe that's everything. It's so funny because I told Ted, hey, there's not that much news. It's going to be a short episode, and of course I was wrong.
What did I say? What
Because
did I say to that?
uh, famous last words.
Famous last words, because I've been podcasting going on
Yeah,
11
yeah,
years now, and every freaking time I said, "Yeah, it'll be a quick episode,"
yeah.
hour and 40 minutes later, it's like, I'll stop saying
Well,
that.
I mean, that just means that we really love, of the stuff that we're talking about,
$100%.
and when you're podcasting, and doing it, if you're doing it right, it's just two friends. They happen to have mics in front of them, and you lose track of time. That's a
Absolutely.
really great way to describe podcasting. So, Ted, it's always a pleasure. Yeah, check out everything on Countdowns to the Geeks. There's a bunch of conventions coming up. There's a bunch of different interviews coming out. Is there anything in particular that you want to advertise right now?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. So we're already starting our advanced screening movie giveaways. Right now we're giving away advanced screening tickets to Primate. And we have three major
Ooh,
cities we're releasing tickets to: Los Angeles, Miami, and New York City. So if you're in one of those three areas, going over to our website, countdowncitygeeks.com, go to the contest page, and find out how to enter into the drawing. Winners will be announced on Monday, the third, fourth, the 5th, Monday, the 5th of January. You'll get an email saying you're a winner. And if you do win, tickets are first come, first serve. So you still have to show up early. It's not like you just walk in whenever you feel like it. And all the details are on the website on where those screenings are taking place. And if you like going to movies like me and Colin here, we give away tickets nearly every week to
Yeah.
advanced screenings, mostly in Texas, but we do get out to some other major cities every now and then. So hopefully, you guys can win some tickets in the future.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say there was a lot of films to look forward to this year, so definitely hop on that. Uh, for me, every single day for 143 days, like I said, I'm going to be posting a fun Mandalorian, like of just a Mandoverse fact from behind the scenes, lore wise, that you may or may not know. Just because I love the Mandalorian, I love the creative team behind the Mandalorian, so I'm very very excited to dive deeper into the lore of the Mando verse, just because we got the new movie coming out, and just talking about it may get me through the 141 days now until the
Yeah.
movie comes out. So yeah, but yeah, so I'll be posting on Instagram, and I'll be posting that on TikTok as well. So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
there you go. Cool. Well, from myself and Ted, thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Thank you for our live audience. Brooke will be back next week, and then the week after that, we'll be at Disney. So you can see all of our fun coverage of Hayden's first time to Disney there. So there you go.
Yeah, it's
Um,
exciting.
there you go. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. May the force be with you
Always.
forever and always.